Okay, I'm back, and when I showed the other Komebukuro bags, I didn't show this one, which was the last one I made, which was out of this thrifted jumper from the op shop and with some of Rachel's material around the top. So I've been slowly adding embroidery to the top of this one. Still a way to go, but I've done the flowers and the centres, done the green stalks. Some of the butterflies are done. I got up to this spot where I've got to put in the little purple flowers. So that's where I've got to with that. But back to this. I've got a base and I've put a layer of this blue and batting. I drew the lines so as I could stitch pretty straight because I do get a bit wonky. So what I did was I started in the middle and about 2 centimetres apart, and then when I was stitching it, I've stitched in between the lines halfway, and that way I could stay in it. So now I've still got to iron that, so we're getting there. I promised I would make my last piece on camera, but I got carried away. I got carried away and I was having such fun. So with this one, I've been doing invisible stitch just to get the batting to the front. So this is my last panel. So you'd seen these ones already. This one I was doing the seed stitch on. I've added some seed stitch onto this one. A few lines of just running stitch. I've tried to do a little bit of seed stitch on each of the sides of the Komebukuro, even if it's just a little bit, just for fun, you know, it just keeps a bit of continuity around the outside. This one. I've done the seed stitch around the little bunny and put that pink bunny on. I'm just now finishing off the invisible stitch. Hope everyone's well. It's a really autumny day here today. Been out to the market. One of my friends has moved into the neighbourhood from over the other side of town, and he doesn't drive, and he, I don't know, he's very exhausted after moving, as those of us over a certain age get a bit tired. It's hard going packing up your house and then trying to unpack it and get it all organised. Anyway, I went over this morning and picked him up and took him to the local market, which has a wonderful organic, he's very into organics, and it has a wonderful organic vegetable shop there. So that was really, really good, really good. Yeah, there's something really lovely about walking around a market where there's lots of fresh organic foods and sourdough breads, and honestly it wasn't that far, it's not that far away from me, and I didn't think it was on every single week, and so I learnt that it's on every week, every Saturday for most of the day, and I thought, wow, I think I'll be going there every Saturday morning for some fresh fruit and veggies. I got the most wonderful fruit sourdough. There's nothing quite like a bit of fruit toast, that's for sure. All right, last line. I'm doing this out here in my lounge room, and I'm using my portable camera holder or phone holder, and I've testing it out. When I've used it in the past, there's big shadows, but I've finally got my cable out and charged up, so I've got the light on. So I'm going to see how this one goes. It'll be much easier to film out here than in the garage while I'm still assessing the airflow out there, or lack thereof even. Okay, so I've got my 4 panels now, and I'm sorry I didn't get to do that one. I just have had people drop over. I've had a period of being unwell, and it's like one thing after another. I just ended up sitting and stitching parts of this while visitors were here, so I was still working on it and getting it done, and using some of my snippets that I had mentioned that I was enjoying Jennifer Clouston's snippets, you know, her little snippets on YouTube, seeing how she goes with those inspired me, really. It inspired me to do some of my own little snippets. I have stitched together the little pieces that'll go. So they're ready to go. 2 pink, 2 blue. I've got to iron that. And the last thing I'm doing here, I've hand stitched all this together. I've just got one more to go. And I thought it's not that interesting. I could have done it on the machine, but I actually thought that I'd show you a little shortcut. If you're, I don't know if anyone else does this, but it's a shortcut that I kind of do, where I do a running stitch straight all the way, because I just find it very quick, quicker than back stitch. Just do a running stitch the whole way down. And then what I do to make it a more secure seam, I'll get to the bottom, leave a bit at the bottom because we use that for the joining the sides and the bottom together. And I just turn around and come back. And so I just do the same thing again. So it effectively is like more than a running stitch. I'm not sure if you can see that with this light very well. Just like this. So it's now more like a back stitch. It's a bit all over the place, but there you go. It's going to be inside the bag, and it's going to be double joined on the sides. There we go. Just cast that off. Now I realised, possibly a little mistake, but I realised that I hadn't really made this deeper to allow for an over, like a seam like that. So they're all very similar sizing. So I've got to work out, I think I want the 2 bunnies to be opposite each other, so I don't want them next to each other. So I've got to work out which way. So they're definitely not going next to each other. I think that these 2 look nice next to each other. This bunny matches the reds. Which way? That way or that way? I quite like it that way because this is a similarity, but then there's this bit of blue to break it up and make it not look too samey. And if I'm going to put these 2 together, I've got a similar thing with the blue or this side. I think I like it that way. So if that's the case, then these are going to go together like this. Just pin it. These two are going to go together like this. Then these two have to go, there's no choice. If I want the bunny the opposite side, that edge has to join that edge. And then when we get round to the other side, that edge has to join that edge. Now, one of the things I thought was a great idea that Corinne did was actually stitching the seam of the lining in between these two. So I'm just going to get this pinned. Might just work on one bit at a time. Some of my pins, I've just decided what I actually do need to do, and a few people have been talking about them. Thanks, Beth, for your messages. I think I need to get some walnut shell. I need to make a walnut shell thing to sharpen my needles. I can't even get that one through. It might just be that there's too many layers, or that one of the layers is just really hard to get through. Interesting. That one went through there. Try another one. That's better. Yes, some walnut shells to really help sharpen them, pins and needles. Okay, so this one's going to go like this. So usually with a Komebukuro, I would actually add the base in to the lining before I would do this. But I'm thinking because I am going to be doing the outer stitches along around the bottom as well, that the base can be all done at the end. So you can see I've got this. Let me put it through here, like this. Makes sense. Okay. So we're going to be coming through here like that, and like this, and then this one will be this next corner. So I'm pinning it all now so I can just stitch it off camera for a little bit in front of the TV. See how there's a bit bagging there, and what I'll do is, what I'm doing here is feeling how, getting these as flush as possible, and then doing it, putting that seam together that way, and that way later that can be just chopped off. So that this is a really good way of making sure that your inner lining is quite nicely fixed. So out of everything, they're okay. this one is very baggy, so I'm going to redo this one. That's better. Yeah, they can just be trimmed back. Okay. I do like the way that it's got, my previous ones have all been no lining. They've just been thin and material, and so they're kind of collapsible. And this one in particular, I had to redo the lining because this line here, this bag part, was a lot longer, and I decided sometimes it's good to experiment and to think, oh, I'll try something a bit different, make it a little bit more uniquely me or something, but it's okay also to go, that didn't quite work. So what I realised then was that the lining was a bit too long, and I had to take it up, so I took it up. But I also wanted a bit of this lovely material, this Liberty around the top there. So when I get back to stitching these, I pull this out of the way so it doesn't get caught, and do some lovely embroidery on the top. Okay, so it's really actually quite good to make one like this that's a lot more solid. Of course, when I've done the sides, I'll put these in. And what I've got to do is work out, do I want to put something over this edge on this side and something over that edge on this side, and see, because I'm thinking this piece here, that's very fine and thin, and to just stitch it down, I can see that it could, all those little threads could be pulled out. So I'm not up to that bit yet. I am going to be doing the sides, my thread. I'm just actually going to initially start with this is just a sewing machine cotton, a thin cotton, or just polyester actually. So this one is 110 yards, 100 metres, polyester. It's just a polyester, Gutermann. Running out to get a new one soon. I'm just going to do the sides and then trim it up, and then I might do some blanket stitch over, but I'm just getting it at the moment. I just want to get it a nice straight edge through there. Just segueing back to my friend moving to this area. He has lived down on the south side near the beach in an area that is fairly upper class, and he said that the first night he stayed over this way, north side, he couldn't believe how quiet it was over here. That's amazing, isn't it? All the beachside areas that you think are, just the place to be, the wealthy live there or whatever. And yet there are just things about it. One of my old painting teachers said he was carrying back, he'd had his stuff from the art gallery. I don't know if I've told this story before, but he had his stuff, he was bringing it home, and it was raining, and he had on some new shoes which had a sort of a crepey sole, and he'd slipped and fallen over and banged his head on the pavement. And he lives over in that south side kind of area. In fact, he lives in South Yarra, if anyone knows South Yarra. And he said he took his wits, you know, had to get his wits about him to get back up. Took him a few moments. And in the time he was there on the ground, just gathering his wits, people, quite a handful of people, stepped over him and went on their merry way, but no one actually helped him up. Now, this is a person who's nearly 70. Can you believe that? Isn't that disgusting? I think I might have said that story, but I'm still kind of thinking about it and thinking, oh my goodness, that's... Oh, actually, I don't want to do that. That's just appalling, really. I didn't actually want to close that off too much because we've got to join the bottom bit in. Okay. So when the bottom's joined in, it's going to be going like this. Like that along there. And I'm really hoping that I have done it so as it's going to fit. Because these panels were 19 by 15 centimetres. I think we'll make it fit. We'll make it fit. Yeah. So I'm going to go off and stitch that, and I will be back. See how I went. Okay, I'm back, and I am finishing stitching on the base. I've just done a blanket stitch all the way around. I have stitched the sides and I haven't made them blanket stitch. I've still just left the running stitch. I'm actually wishing I'd have had a bit more of this Steph Francis in maybe a yellow or something, you know, just a different colourway. That's okay. Just in terms of maybe putting another colourway up the sides. This is quite colourful, especially after my little midnight pouch. Okay, the sides need this little trimming. Like I say, with the blanket stitching the sides, I'm actually quite happy to just come back in and do that after. If you don't have an Ort bag, use a shopping bag or an Ort holder. I think they're all right. They're possibly a little bit deep. Could maybe cut back just a very fine edge. That's okay. Now I've pinned on these, and where I'm up to, that's not bad. I'm happy with that. Is my next step. Do I want to just join them and risk this inner bit fraying, which might be just a little bit, I don't know, not me. I don't like the idea that I've left it in such a way that I have to come back and fix something on it. So I'm just a bit undecided. I know that usually means we'll go away and have a think about it, but I'm here now. I'm videoing it. So I think maybe one of the things to do might be to just stitch all the way around. I think it might ruin the aesthetic to make it too neatly finished. I'm just looking around for my other bag that I did that. I think it's out in the lounge. I had a my slow stitch bag that I started to make on the holidays while I was away. I ended up having such an irregular edge at the top, and it is a pouch, that I did a lining for it, but the lining ended up being newer, and I don't know, I guess it sort of changed the aesthetic of it all. But however, just going to give this one a stitch all along, and then just see what I'm thinking about it once they're all down. So I'm just doing a running stitch. And by saying, I mean, I'm just going to get it. Okay, so this bag, which was my creative 3 phases of life bag, it had this edge that was a bit kind of irregular. So what I did was made this lining, and it's a modern material, it's not an antique material. And then I folded both in and stitched all around on the sewing machine. I don't hate it, I love it. I love it regardless, you know. And I also like this idea, it's like a joey pouch for the kangaroos, where you can fold it down if you've got less stuff in it, and, you know, access all your bits and pieces. Also, I've got another one. My first pouch that I ever did when Kate was starting off doing all the pouches. This one, did this slow stitch pouch. I ended up doing a very similar method to Kate, and I've actually blanket stitched over all the edges, but some have been folded over. And I love it. I love this pouch. They do make pouches very similar to this for the joeys when they're orphaned from the kangaroo mums and dads, or mums, and they need still to have a pouch. Very similar pouches, the pattern for the pouches. So with all that in mind, thinking out loud, I'm now thinking, well, maybe this could have a little bit of something along here. I could actually, if I wanted to, put something over out of similar material just to seal, or I could just do my straight stitch and blanket stitch it. So for now, I'm doing my straight stitch so I can get the pins out, etc. Put my glasses back on. And I didn't make that very long. Get her all the way around and then assess, because of course the ties through here can put a bit of extra wear and tear on those tabs and then being held into place. So at least I know the inner lining and the outer shell are actually joined together. That's the main thing, and the tabs are secured in. Okay, just finishing off this last one. Last side. I am going to come back and do a part 3 because there's some extra things I want to add. So here's how it's looking. by side, by side, by side. They're so good because they're so soft. You can really actually collapse them quite down. That's like, you could easily post that. So much work though. Bit of a green side there. Let me get some cord. Okay, cut a couple of lengths. Now I absolutely love this pale apricot pink, bit of like a lighter, very pale pink macrame. It's a macrame cord. I love it. So I've cut 2 pieces, and this, I didn't know how to use a bodkin before, but Christine from Christine's Home Affairs, shout out to Christine, who's going through chemo for breast cancer. She's also got her normal Christine's Home Affairs channel, but she started a new one called Christine's Health Affairs, and she's documenting the entire process. And you know, it's just really wonderful that she's doing that, and I think she's very brave. I found cancer a very personal journey, but you know, I cry on a lot of her videos, but it's quite interesting to be so brave to go through the process. So shout out, big love to Christine. And so she showed how to use a bodkin, and I picked up one of these from Chris's shop in Balan. And you just basically pull that little thing back, grab it. It's like little tweezers, and the little thing, push it down, and it holds it closed enough to thread it through. With the Komebukuro bag, it's always one end tied. Whatever side, you go to the opposite corner to start the other side of threading. So it comes out on the opposite side. Ouch, that bit me. Oh, I see why it's biting me. It's just got off kilter. It's all right, nearly finished. There was only, and they're only like a couple of dollars. It's not too expensive. And same on this side. So they're opposites. Tie a knot. You can shut it or have it open. Okay, so aside from maybe blanket stitching down the side, I've got some other things that I want to do to continue this series. So for now, I'm going to end it with my completed bag, except for probably finding some other things that I might stitch on later to the sides. And I hope you're enjoying this, and thanks to Corinne for the inspo for the padded 4 tab version, and I will see you in the next one. Bye for now. I'll put it there. So cute.